Here we go. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to Topic Time with Harrison Young. June 16th today. We're just about at the summer solstice. Weather's really awesome today. It's going to get a little cool over the weekend, and well, we can take that. This is New England. We can handle it. Hope the Celtics win tonight. Knock on whatever this is. I don't know if it's wood, but I'm a big sports fan. But before we get to that, we're not going to talk sports. We're going to interview this awesome guest. I have an author tonight. Young author, but before we get to him, got to read these great underwriters, and then we will commence per usual. Don't have a lot, but they're all great, so we read them off. So we got, want to thank Auto Country, king of the used car in Abington, number one on the traded list for 2021 for servicing customers in all the years we've been with me. And we got them, and they're the king of the used car, as I said. And we got the new one. We got tarot card and palm readings in Taunton. We got John's Greenhouses and Florist Shop in Brockton. We got Auto Town Auto Glass and Auto Body in Abington. We got Countertops Express in North Attleboro. We got the Barber Zone, one shop in Middleborough, one shop in Taunton. We got Shaggy Chic Dog Grooming Salon in Attleboro. We got the Gunrunner LLC in Middleborough, dedicated to their Second Amendment rights for customers or friends. We got Easton Fitness right in the Village Shops in Northeastern. We got Chapin Sheds in Whitman. We got Grant's Rental in Bridgewater. We got Doggy Boutique, all-breed professional grooming for dogs and cats, run by my great next-door neighbor, Debbie Siddell in Brockton. We got Nautical Mile, Lisa's Lobster in Whitman. We got RW Carpet and Flooring in Norton, covering floors for 50 years. And we got Joe's Diner in Taunton. I want to thank you guys very much. And now on that note, I'll now officially introduce Mr. Erik Swanson. Hey. How you doing? Erik, you're a writer, and you know what? I love to read, and I don't really know that much about you, but we're going to find out tonight. We're going to really cover your profile as best we can. You're a young guy. You're only 27 years young, and that's incredible for someone, you know, so young being an author. I was actually, well, when I was 27, I've written a couple of books myself, but the first book I ever wrote was a poetry pamphlet when I was 19, and that was in 1978. The big book I wrote was a book of short stories in the 90s, and that took me the whole duration of the decade to do. And then when I started it in the early 90s, I never knew I'd have a book of short stories until the 90s sort of evolved from the early 90s to the late 90s, and then I knew I had enough material to create a book, which was like 50,000 words. And then when I did it, when I finally was able to do it, I had it published by a guy that taught me short story writing 10 years earlier at Bridgewater State University named Mike Hurley. And it's been a great, it was my final great accomplishment of the 20th century. Now you, on the other hand, well, tell me about yourself. Where did you grow up, and how did you get into writing? How long have you been doing it, and what type of books do you write? So let's go ahead.
Well, I grew up in Bellingham, Mass.
Okay, and you're still there?
Yep, I'm still there.
Yep.
Grown there pretty much my whole life.
Okay.
Yeah, what got me first into writing was, I'd have to say, not right away. It was when I was a kid, actually.
Well, how old?
I'd have to say like 4 years old or so.
4?
Yep.
Okay. Did you have any authors that inspired you?
Not really, no.
Okay.
Like I'm a very imaginative person. And
okay.
Such. Yep. Ever since like I've been growing up and such, my parents would bring me to my older brother's football games. Sometimes they would bring me to the library.
Okay.
And I would flip right through the pages. I look through the pictures, words, understand some of them, but with pictures, I'd always like create my own story in the back of my head.
Okay.
Yep.
Cool. What kind of, like fantasy?
Yes.
Sci-fi, horror, and all that stuff?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Okay.
Even historical.
Even what?
Even historical.
Historical. Okay.
Yeah.
So as I came in here tonight, you were looking at a big textbook of the Renaissance. So obviously you just like looking at books for inspiration, I assume, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Yeah, I got that about you. Just seeing that. That's pretty good. You know, and obviously. You seem like a guy that's been well educated. Did you go to college?
No, I didn't.
You didn't go to college. Okay, wow. Okay. Well, tell me. So, what kind of books have you written?
I've mainly written sci-fi horror.
Okay.
One sci-fi fantasy, of which is actually the beginning of a sci-fi fantasy series.
Okay.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
When did you start these?
I actually started these in 2019, June 2019.
June, okay, so exactly 3 years ago.
Yep.
Wow. Okay, so now was that your first real crack at writing to be published?
No, not really. It was pretty much on and off. Like it was always brewing in the back of my mind with the sci-fi fantasy
Yep.
novels since I was like, since in 2014.
Okay.
Yep. And at first I was thinking, oh, this would make a good show, but no. Afterwards, like good five years of being off of it, but constantly thinking about it in the back of my head.
Okay.
Like this would be better with it being a book since it would be too expensive, like say if it were a TV show.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So now, have you ever had anything that you've written turned into a film, or it's like a TV show, like you just said?
No.
Oh, you haven't. Would you ever consider that?
Perhaps.
Okay. Let's review the timeline. Now you've been published, right?
Self-published.
Self-published. Got it. Okay. That's published. All right. So all right, you began your first book was published in what, 2014?
My first book was
When did you publish?
my first self-published book was in 2021. In fact, they were all pretty much.
So last year.
Yeah, they were all published in 2021.
They were, okay.
Yeah.
So basically what I'm getting at is, did you take a bunch of manuscripts that you had going back many years and just finally decide to do it, created a publication with it, is that it? Them creating a publication with your manuscripts that you'd had stored away?
Mm-hmm. In 2019, right when I started, again, writing.
Right.
Yeah. At first it was just strictly the sci-fi fantasy book.
Okay.
Yep. And that was on off. I didn't really take it all that seriously, but I did. I was drinking pretty heavily.
You what?
I was drinking pretty heavily.
Okay.
Then afterwards, like beginning of July 2020, stopped and I took my writing much more seriously.
Oh, wow.
Mm-hmm.
I tell you, that's what Hemingway did, I think, too.
Yeah.
He drank a lot and then he took his writing seriously. Okay, interesting. Well, now, do you write full-length novels? Do you write short stories? Do you write both?
Both.
Both, okay. All right, see, I attempted a full-length novel and I never finished it. So, all right, so how many novels do you have now that you've been published, or that you published?
Three are actual novels.
Okay.
And one book actually is a collection of
Short stories?
Yes, short stories.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Do you have someone to illustrate the book? Do you want to tell me who the publisher is? I know if self-published, you still have to have somebody do it.
I went through Amazon actually.
Okay, I understand. Okay. And how long are the books? What are the lengths?
They all vary. The sci-fi fantasy one, that's about like 288 pages.
Okay.
Yep. And the sci-fi horrors, they each again vary. Yeah. One is good 302 pages long, Among All Tin.
Oh, that's okay. It's a
Yep.
good sized book.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And the other one, Lost Case Encounters, that's 200 pages.
Okay.
Yep. Third one, I'm always trying to remember the.
Is that the collection of short stories?
Yes, Lost Case Encounters
Oh,
was,
okay.
Was the actual collection of short stories. The third one, Corrections Mayhem, yep, that's good 143.
Okay. Okay. Do you have people that illustrate the book for you?
No.
So yeah, you mentioned that you don't do illustrations at all.
Yep.
Okay. Well, I mean, I'm wondering. I mean, for a sci-fi book, most sci-fi books have something that sort of like reels people in. But I guess that's not you. It's just not your style. What kind of covers do you have then? If you don't have just your name and all the graphics that are necessary to explain the book,
Yes.
and the liner notes and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. You just feel that it's not. It doesn't. It would be kind of a waste of something, of ink or whatever, to create illustrations. I mean, you have a reason. I'm curious.
Well, I usually use the generated images of which are provided through the Amazon.
For the
Yeah.
written word, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. No, I understand.
Yeah, I go for those and I try to look through what exactly fits into the actual setting or just general feeling of,
Yep.
of the novel.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, in terms of promoting the book, how have you done it so far? Have you gone out? Have you ever done Book Expo America? In 2000, I did that for my book of short stories, and it happened to be. They usually have it in a different American city every year. The one I went to was in Chicago.
Unfortunately, no. I'm usually very busy between working as a machinist,
Okay.
as well as also at Home Depot and such. Like, I crank at least like
All
65
right, so-
hours a week.
Wow, so even though you have two full-time jobs, right? Well, you can't be two full-time, right?
No, they're not both. Not
Okay,
both are full.
but you have two regular jobs in addition to your writing.
Yes.
All right, so how much time a week would you say you dedicate to your writing, or even a day?
Recently, it has declined so much.
Okay,
Yeah, due to pressing issues.
I understand.
Yeah.
Okay, but you have enough material now so that I mean, all right. Let's see if we can figure out what are your intentions for what you've already done. I mean, how do you plan to go about? I mean, obviously you're on my show now. That's going to be good for self-promotion. But in addition to that, do you have any marketing ideas for for pushing the books later?
I have tried, like, in my spare time, very limited, of course, with promoting them, and I've gone through marketing companies.
Okay.
I've had like rough estimates, and a lot of them, they're expensive. And it's
Oh, I
like,
know they are.
Yeah. I decide, nope, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to be putting myself towards investing in something of which most likely won't have a.
Ever tried eBay?
No, I haven't.
That might behoove you to try it.
Yeah.
I did. I tried it. I didn't do great with eBay, but one thing you can tell is are people checking you out. But that's why if you have something that's going to get people's attention, eBay might be a good investment for you. It's not that expensive.
Wow.
You just have to find somebody that does it. I had someone in Stoughton do it for me for the book for a while, and I didn't really go very far. But what I did do was, in addition to that convention in Chicago, was that I did also, believe it or not, I'd go door to door and sell the book that way. I don't know if you've ever sold anything like that. It is work. It's it's part of you got to pound the pavement. But if you have something that people like, that you think people will like, and you know how to present it, you got a pretty good shot at making some money and getting some good recognition. Now, I mean, obviously with those jobs you have, you might not have enough time to do it. When I was doing the book, I did have a couple of other jobs doing like collections and stuff, and then eventually I decided to just chuck the collection jobs and just sell the book full time, and I did pretty well with it.
Wow.
And I got a little TV news coverage too. That's the other thing you might want to do. Sir, in terms of media coverage, have you ever gotten like anyone to review you?
No, unfortunately, I haven't.
Okay, well that's something you might want to look into also.
Yep.
I'm sure if you look online, there'll be people that that might be willing to do that. Have you ever joined a book club, or have you ever joined a short story writing? You never went to college. You never took a course in writing at all anywhere except maybe in high school.
I didn't even really take courses in high school. I'm pretty much all self-taught.
You what? You really?
Yes.
Okay, that's wonderful. Okay, well, I mean, I'm just trying to think. Have you ever looked into doing a writer's workshop then? That's something you might want to definitely look into.
I have actually, yes.
Have you done one? No.
No.
Okay.
No.
You've looked into it, but you haven't done one.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, if the great thing about them is that they're available, and if you do eventually decide to find one that looks right for you, that you can fit into your schedule, I think you'll find that when you bring your work, you'll be able to present it. You'll be able to get some good critiques. That's what you want right now. You want someone to critique your work and maybe help you, maybe get proofreading it, edit it. You might want to talk to somebody like that. Look up online and see who does proofreading, editing.
That I actually have done.
Okay.
And again, very expensive.
Too expensive?
Yeah.
Well,
a lot of the times it ranges, like from the companies I've looked into, like 2,500 to 5K or more.
all right. What about the idea of selling? Now you have created the book in book form, right?
Yes.
Okay. How many copies do you have now? About?
I've sold at least 470 now.
That's pretty good. How did you do it?
I've just been in my spare time trying to promote it on Facebook as well as Goodreads.com.
Okay.
Yep, and other venues.
So you obviously have. That's pretty good. I mean, and this has only been in the last few years, right? That you've done that, sold that many.
Within the last
Couple of years, since 2019.
Year and a half.
Okay,
since-
even better.
yeah.
All right, right. So, all right. So you basically, you actually haven't gone door to door, but you've done it online. So you actually have found a pretty good medium for yourself for doing that.
Yes.
Okay. And what do you do when somebody wants to buy the book? You just ship it to them, right? Is that it?
Amazon handles that.
Oh, Amazon handles it.
Yep.
You don't think Amazon's not too expensive then? I guess.
No, not really.
Oh, okay. So that seems to work for you then.
Yep.
Okay. All right. All right. Well, so but you say you've declined. You haven't done much writing lately. So are you gonna? So what? So do you have a certain number of sales that you want to make before you try writing another book? Because I know how tedious it can be to write a book like that, and then and then somebody says, well, when are you going to write your next book when you still have to sell the current one? I know what that's like.
Yep. I'm actually currently in the middle of writing my sequel to the to the sci-fi fantasy novel. The first one was Tales of Elandria, Bridging of Worlds. Yep. And the second one is Tales of Elandria, Descent of Knights. That I'm about like halfway through, but lately I've just been so burnt out.
I understand. Yeah, I know with the other stuff. Now, do you have? Now, are your regular jobs like 5 days a week?
I work at least 6 days a week.
6 days a week.
Yep.
So I guess one day. I mean, so how do you budget your time to give you time to write?
I'm very meticulous with my time. I try and take advantage of it as much as I can.
All right, I understand. Now, do you have a family of your own? Are you married with kids or anything?
No.
Oh, okay. Well, that definitely frees you up.
Yep.
I would say. Okay. All right. Now, now nobody's reviewed you though, right? You haven't gone to. Do you know anybody at all that's like that might know do you know any literary critics that might be able to give you some tips that wouldn't charge you an arm and a leg? I mean, maybe teachers that you know in high school, people like that, comp and lit people.
I haven't really looked all.
You haven't really
much.
looked. Okay. Yeah. I mean, it sounds to me like you got a pretty good thing going. It's just that you need to. I mean. You obviously have the drive, and you're obviously a hardworking guy, and you still got plenty of time left. All right, let's talk a little about the content of the book without giving too much away. What would you use? I mean, I know what your genre is. Yeah, obviously, I think you want to be thought-provoking with your work. You want people to look at this and say, "Wow!" I mean, and you want everybody to see this guy's original. Meaning you, obviously, right?
Mm-hmm.
You want everyone to say, "This guy writes like nobody else." Meaning, right?
Yes.
Okay. So what is it about your work that sets it apart from other novelists that would you say in your own words, obviously?
It's really difficult to say.
Okay, well,
yeah, a lot of the times
just sum it up as briefly as you can.
Yeah. It's really difficult.
Okay, I know, but this is look. If you're ever going to make like a lecture circuit, you're going to have to. You need to. All right. Something else you might want to try is maybe doing like public readings at the library of some of your stuff. You ever thought of doing that at your local library or any library?
I don't have much time.
You don't have much time.
Yeah, but I'd be willing to do so because I am actually cutting back and now just focusing on
of your work,
job.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah, now
I'm going back to just one job.
Okay, I would definitely look into doing that. You want to see people's reactions. In 1990, I did a writers' workshop up in Bennington, Vermont. And it was really cool because these people were up there from all over the world, and they stood up in front of the audience, in the auditorium, and they read this stuff. And I mean, I swear, there were some things that got the audience cracking up. There were some things that got the audience bawling their eyes out. And you want to see the reaction of people to your work. Have you ever actually read anything out loud to anybody? Just bounced it off them just to see what they thought, or people anyone in general, friends and people that you don't, even strangers.
I've given out free books to close friends and such, as well as to coworkers, and they say like, we love the descriptions you put in.
Okay.
Like when we read it, it's like a vocabulary smorgasbord.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, vocabulary smorgasbord. So you have a lot of words in there. You have a lot of.
Yes.
Okay. You're. I don't want to say verbose. I don't know. I haven't read your stuff. I'd like to. Do you have liner notes on the back of the book? Do you put on there, or in the cover, in a flap?
No.
You don't have because. All right. I'm just wondering, and you never got like a write-up. You never got like a review from any of your local. There are probably book critics in your hometown that might want to look at it. Then for your paper, you might want to check that.
I'll look into that.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of there's plenty of stuff out there. There's plenty of. Do you have anything? Do you have it notarized in the Library of Congress?
No.
You don't have that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the guy that published my book of short stories, he had his own printing press with his own copyright. So that means that nobody could steal his material, which could happen. It's not likely, but it protects you. It protects your legal rights to own whatever it is you write. once you, because here's the thing, if you end up selling your book to somebody for real and you end up getting royalties, they're going to own the book. They may have the right to republish it, even if you don't want them to, unless you have it copyright. I mean, are you familiar with the copyright laws as they apply to literature?
Not entirely, but I always assumed like if you write it, then print it out, that means the writing would be protected since it's under your name.
You would think so, but
Yes.
you really do have to copyright it. It's not that hard to do. You just have to kind of have it notarized.
I have thought about doing it, and it's just one of those things where it's like, back burner, okay, I'll get to it.
Right,
Yeah.
but I understand. I know that, but I understand. But you want to line all your ducks up in a row, to use this, an age-old cliche about making sure that you've taken the right steps to assure that your success.
Yep.
And it sounds like you have. It sounds like you know what you're doing here. So when you go online to sell your book, what do you do? You just go on Facebook and say, anyone want to buy this book? And you must give some description to people when you do that.
Pretty much.
And you do it on Facebook mostly, right?
I do send out excerpts to people.
Oh, you do?
Yeah.
Okay. Online mostly, right?
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome. That's very intelligent. And how many people can you do that? I mean, I've never tried that online before, but how many people can you reach the way you do it? Or have you reached, like, say, in one sitting, for instance?
I've reached like 10 people or so.
Really, in one sitting?
Yep.
Like in one day?
Yep.
Oh, that's great. And okay, and how long does it take to do that usually?
I usually copy and paste a lot.
Oh, I'm sure you do, of course.
It's one of those things where, okay, I don't want to type out the whole thing, so just copy, paste it, whatever is there, like extra baggage of which isn't necessary, get rid of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, good. I mean, copy and paste is definitely the way to go. So obviously you can do that. And have you ever had the kind of feedback that tells you that more people are going to want to buy the book later?
Here and there.
Okay. Well, all right. Well, that's good. That's very important. I mean, what you want is you want everybody to know about your book. Now, I asked you before if you've ever considered turning anything like you've ever written into a film or a TV project. You might want to look into doing that. I mean, if somebody thinks that you have, I mean, it's up to you, but if somebody thinks that you have something that might be marketable or have some commercial value as a TV show or a film, they might want to produce it.
The one I would think would make a good movie would be Corrections Mayhem.
Well, then you should get online and look for filmmakers and see if and talk to them and see if they'd be willing to, take it under your wing there, take you under their wing.
Yeah.
Send them an excerpt, just like you do with the regular people.
I'd love to do that. It's just one of those things where it's like, I don't want to pester people and annoy them.
Pester people.
Yeah.
But you're online, you're reaching out to people every day.
Yeah.
Well, so what? Look, you got to pester people. I've sold plenty of stuff in my life. If somebody tells you to get lost, then you get lost and you move on to the next person. Nobody's going to just say, if you have something, you say, excuse me, I have something here that you might want to look at. I'm doing this. I'm a writer and I want to see if you might want to make a film out of this. I think I have a pretty cool book here. Would you like to take a look at a paragraph? If they say no, it's no. Don't worry about pestering them. You just be polite,
I'm usually...
You don't have to be, you can be persistent without being a jerk,
Yeah.
I'm
just usually too overly polite. I'm a nice guy.
Yeah, I know that. And there's nothing wrong with being a nice guy, but it doesn't mean you can't be persistent as well. You got to be if you want to get anywhere in anything.
Yeah.
You got to be persistent. You got to be willing. You got to be willing to have the door slammed in your face. Let me tell you something. When I was out selling my book, I got some various reactions. Now, I'm going to tell you a story. This is such a funny story. I love telling it. So I had one time, I was out in the town of Clinton, Mass, which is, near Worcester. It's right. You know where it is. It's in the hills of central Massachusetts. And I walked into this was like my favorite reaction I ever had to my book. And I walked into this variety store, and there was a guy and a woman working there. They may have been married, I don't know, but they were definitely working together. So what I used to do is I say, hey, anyone like to read? I got this great book here, check it out. And the book has a pretty cool illustration on the cover of a chef looking like he's cutting his hand off with a big knife. It's just a cartoon illustration. So I hand the guy the book, or I held out the book to both of them. The guy takes it, he flips through it, and he says to the woman, he says, this book's retarded, but I bet it could really sell. And he bought it. So this was like, this was the best. This was the kind of thing I wish I could put on liner notes. Because the book is totally absurd. That's the idea. That's the way I write when I write. And I was hoping to make it a best-selling career as a writer, and then Topic Time came along. I put the book on the back burner and started Topic Time 10 years later, and now I'm doing it now, which is great for me. But I'm saying, don't be afraid to pester people. You just have to, you just be persistent, be polite.
Mm-hmm.
If you have something they want, they're gonna want to talk to you. If not, then they're not. But just be positive. You gotta, and don't be afraid to, have someone tell you to get lost and then move on to someone else. There's plenty of, in terms of getting dates, in terms of getting sales, there's plenty of fish in the sea.
You're not wrong about that, and I have done that several times.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, guess what? All the talking we've done, we're under 5 minutes now.
Wow.
Yeah, we made the half hour go by. I hope we had fun. I hope we covered as much about your stuff as we could cover, and I hope and that's it. So. Is there anything you want to mention about your books before we wrap it up that you overlooked, or something, any project, anything you got going on down the line when it comes to sales or writing or anything else?
Well, there is also a sequel that I'm planning on writing.
Okay.
But yeah, another one with corrections, mayhem, and the short story in Lost Case Encounters, the short story being Dwelling Peril.
Okay.
Because those two stories, although separate, they take place in the same universe.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Not this one, though.
No.
Perfect. All right. Well, right there, you just gave a great synopsis.
Yeah.
You saved the best for last. about explaining, about just saying that about the different universe. Right there, you're going to get people's attention. The people love books about a separate universe. Most people hate this universe. They want to know about a different universe.
Yeah, they want to escape from.
Exactly.
Yeah, they want to escape from
bingo.
their life.
And you're providing the means, and you just got to let people know that.
And I love entertaining people. I love seeing people smile and just being happy.
Exactly, and you're great at it, and you've done it here too. And I expect that you just keep doing what you're doing, and I think you're going to be fine. And when the show's up, share it with as many people as you can, and don't be afraid to talk to people. Don't worry about pestering people. They'll survive it. All right. Well, you did a great job. If you have any friends or anybody that you know that's interesting for whatever reason, and you had a good time with me, tell them about the show. I get a lot of guests from word of mouth. I get you from Facebook, which is where I get the 99% of my guests, but I get more and more from word of mouth than ever before. And you got my digits. Have them text me, and we'll get them on as well.
Okay.
All right, Eric, you did a great job. So you ready to wrap the show up the way we began it, with my tune?
Yes.
All right, folks. Thanks for watching Topic Time. See you next week. Take care. Have a good one. Bye-bye.